Welcome to Green Acres. Today we're being the Ghost and Donkey. The goats and donkeys love these crackers.
Good morning from Green Acres. I'm excited today because my garden is really starting to take shape. If you'll notice, these are cucumbers, and you see all the blooms. I'm going to have a lot of cucumbers soon. My tomatoes, I already have some tomatoes on the vine and many more coming. Behind that, I don't know if you can see them, but there's a lot of peas on these vines. Excuse me, green beans on these vines. And soon we'll be picking those within the next week probably and having a meal. In the background, you can see that across the fence there, that is potatoes. And the blooms indicate that they're putting down potatoes in the ground. And soon we'll be making a harvest here and having a lot of good meals. These are pepper plants here. My corn is looking great. In front of the corn I planted those about a week ago or a week and a half ago. Those are peas. They came up really well this time since I caught the warm weather. I've got watermelons and squash, and if you notice, everything is either blooming or really close to blooming, and I'm really excited about my garden this year. You know, when I look around this garden and see all of the produce that's going to be coming, I get excited, and because that's really the goal. I mean, I want it to look good, and I'm really excited about how it looks. But the ultimate goal is not to look good, but to produce vegetables, or as the Bible would say, to produce fruit. I think about this. You know, in the Bible it says in John chapter 15, Jesus said to us, "You did not choose me, but I chose you to go and to bear fruit." I think about our lives. If it makes me this happy to walk out here and see that I'm going to have vegetables soon, and boy, it'll be exciting when I get to eat some of those. But the joy of seeing my garden begin to produce fruit is pretty exciting. And it made me think about that as I was looking at the garden this morning. How exciting must it be for God when He looks in my life and your life as believers and sees that we're beginning to produce fruit, that we're beginning to get it, that our faith is beginning to transform us, and it's not about us, but it's about us changing the world and making a difference in the lives of others. That's about producing fruit. When I think of fruit, I think of Galatians, where it says that the fruit of the Spirit is love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. This has always amazed me. Some of us want to look at that list and say, well, I'll choose 1, 3, and 7. Or I'll choose love and goodness, but the patience part and the self-control part, I don't want that. It would be like me, I sort of did that with my garden, right? I planted select things that I like. I like everything that I've planted here. There's some other things I didn't plant because frankly I just don't want those in my garden. When you think about that list that God gave us there in Scripture, let me say it again: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. It's really not a list where we can pick and say, well, I'll have some of that, but not the rest of that. God says those things should be growing in our lives. So what does that mean? Well, it means I choose love. We live in a world that there's a lot of hatred, just a lot of it. The Christian, the fruit we bear, we choose love. That's God's way. Love, joy. Choosing joy. That means even on a bad day, being in communion with God and choosing a path of joy. Choosing to celebrate life. Choosing to give thanks to God. Joy. Think about peace, being a peacemaker. Living at peace with others, bringing peace into our world. What a great opportunity it is right now in our world for us to be peacemakers. Love, joy, peace, patience. That one would be the hardest one on the list, wouldn't it? Patience. Patience to wait on God. We've been studying Job a lot lately at church for the last several weeks, and he had to wait on God. It was a difficult wait. Maybe you're waiting on God today. Patience means you're okay waiting on God, letting God work. Kindness, goodness, think about those qualities. Faithfulness, God's people, the fruit of our lives is that we are faithful. We're faithful to God. We're faithful to those we have been entrusted, their care to us. We're faithful. We make that choice to be faithful because ultimately God is faithful. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Well, self-control is on the one on the list. Maybe that's because it's the hardest, the one maybe we want to put off. Discipline in our lives. The word disciple of Jesus really is the root word of discipline, right? And I think about how to follow Christ, we must discipline our lives to bear the fruit He wants us to bear, to be the people He wants us to be. So I'm going to have a lot of excitement in the next few weeks, coming out here, picking my garden, taking it home and eating it. And I think about that when I do it. I want to think each time I come out here, am I, as a Christian, am I bearing fruit? Does God look at me and say, that's my servant. He's doing what I have called him to do. He's bearing fruit. Let me go back to that verse. It's in John 15, verse 16. He said this, you did not choose me, but I chose you. You know, if you are a believer, surrendering your life to Christ, you did that because Christ first called you. He said, come and follow me. He said, come and bear fruit. And as we do this, as we serve Him with an open heart and a great attitude, our lives will make a difference. We will draw people to the kingdom. We will bless the society we live in. We will be the people of God. So today, my friends, when you think about a garden, when you think of maybe if you're in the grocery store picking up some vegetables, think about the fact that God has called us to bear fruit, to make a difference in our world. Have a great day from Green Acres.